you make a blessing before you eat, asking Hashem and praising Hashem before you eat. And then once you finish eating, you thank Hashem for your food. Now, as a misconception, people think that you only thank Hashem for after you eat a meal with bread. But according to Jewish law, really, there's an after blessing, really from everything that you partake of in terms of food and drink. Not everyone knows that, but there are specific blessings that we have. There's 3 of them. So if you want to take a look on page 995, we referenced this in that handout of 100 mitzvahs, 995 and 997. Right before them, you have the Birkat Hamazon. That's one blessing after me. That's for bread. Another blessing that we make is called the Birkat Me'ein Shalosh. Me'ein Shalosh, which means it's basically a blessing you make for the 7 species. After you eat the 7 species, significant amount. That's the second type of after blessing. The third type of after blessing is made on all other foods that aren't included in the 7 species. So you make a motzi and Birkat Hamazon on bread, on a meal with bread, everything that's eaten at that meal. Then you make ala michya, which is Me'ein Shalosh, the one I mentioned, on mizon, on like cakes and cookies and wine and grape juice, olives, dates, grapes, figs, pomegranates, all the 7 species. Now, any other food, like you eat a significant amount of chocolate, or you eat a nice steak, or you eat some good tofu, or whatever. All these, tofu actually is in this category too. You eat all those types of foods. Other examples, you drink some Coca-Cola. All those other foods require an after blessing. That after blessing appears on page 997 on the bottom of the page. So what I want to do before we talk about what it means, really quickly, I want to talk about what the conditions are to make the blessing. Okay, so this blessing, we had mentioned you make it on those certain types of foods that are not included in those other 2 blessings. Now, as you don't make a blessing on you make a blessing before you take a bite of anything. But we only make an after bracha, after blessing, when you eat a significant amount. What's the significant amount? So the answer is, it's called kazayid and a revid. So I'll just tell you what that is practically. For a solid food, okay, and this goes for Passover, this goes for all the blessings. For a solid food, it would be one fluid ounce. That's equal to, in volume, 1 matchbox. It's not that much, actually, without the air, like if you condense. It's not that much. Or the size of a half of an egg. A standard egg, think about what the size of a half of an egg. So let's say you're at a kiddush, or you're at somebody's house, and there's some vegetables on the counter or whatever, and you eat a carrot or a celery. According to Jewish law, you're supposed to make this blessing after that, because you ate a significant amount. It would fit in a matchbox, where it's half of an egg. Similarly, with liquids, it would have to be 3.8 to 4.5 fluid ounces. What does that equal to? It's around a third of a can of a soda. Okay, or 3 shot glasses. If you have 3 shot glasses, also you should actually drink liquor. Yeah, you make this blessing. So it's for solids and for liquids that you eat a significant amount of. So a third of a can of soda. If you sit down and you have a drink in like 4-minute period or 6-minute period, you should make that after blessing. Yesterday we talked about some laws connected to this. Today I just want to talk about what we're saying when we say Boreh Nefashot Rabot. We said you make this bracha after you eat foods that are not from the 7 species and that aren't bread, meaning candy, drinks, fish, meat, those types of things. So he lists them in the Quran. So there are 2 ways. There's one way that's commonly, like if you Google, like I did, Boreh Nefashot, this is the answer you'll get. You'll get the Torah's answer, his explanation for what we're saying when we say this bracha. You might say this bracha, if you really follow this, you might say this bracha many times a day, because not all the time are we eating bread. So if you're just having a snack and it's like chips or whatever, like tortilla chips or Doritos or whatever, those would be Boreh Nefashot. You're just having a drink of something. So what are we saying when we say this? So let's go through the bracha in Hebrew. Then I want to offer you like 2 ways to understand it. This is the way that's understood in the Torah. This is the way that's like brought in a lot of the texts. It says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Lord of the universe. So far, so good. Okay. Boreh Nefashot Rabot v'chesronan. There's 3 parts. The first part is Boreh Nefashot Rabot v'chesronan. God creates many souls and their lackings. Chisaron is lacking. So the first part, according to the Torah, we're talking about God creating us with lacking and fulfilling that fulfilling us in that place. Basically, God providing things that we need due to our lackings, the basics, water, all the things that we need, bread, the things we need to live. The second part is Akol ma shebarata lachayot be'em nefesh kochai. For Akol ma, for everything, shebarata that you created to give life to all the souls who have life. Lachayot. It's not that God's fulfilling our lack, satisfying what we need in terms of our lacking, but rather God's giving things that can give us life, the extras. So we're thanking God, number one, for things that we need. We're thanking God for lahachayot, things that God gives us to bring us life, all the extras, all the good things that God gives us. Then we thank God at the end. Baruch Chayalamim. God, blessed are you who gives life to everything. Basically, it's kind of like, I guess it's encompassing. It doesn't really go into what that means, but basically, the bracha is twofold. You thank God for things you lack. God provides you that you lack, meaning your basic necessities, and we thank God for all the extras that God gives us. Then we conclude with Baruch Chayalamim. That's one way to understand it. And basically, it's kind of thank God for all the extra things that we have and all the basics. Now, another way to understand it, actually, I didn't realize it, but he kind of, Rabbi Sachs in his translation hints to this direction. And the truth is, I think that this direction works for me, this works better. It just works cleaner in the language. So this is what we're saying when we say Boreh Nefashot. I'll just read it to you in Hebrew and then we'll read what he says. Boreh Nefashot rabot v'chesonan. God creates all the souls and their lackings. It's not talking about food yet. It's just talking about a reality. God created all the souls, not just humans. All the souls in the world, animals, all the creatures, and what they're lacking. We're praising God, not just for humans. Praising God for the whole world, the whole universe. A brain of a show, anything that has a soul and is lacking. What does God do for those who have lackings? God gives life to nefesh kol chai, all those who have a soul, not just humans. So basically, we're saying, recognizing there's God creates souls that have lackings. Then we're thanking God for God giving life to all those souls. Meaning God takes care of everyone who has lacking. It could be extras, it could be the basics, whatever. God takes care of everybody, all the souls. And that's what we're praising God with a general blessing, because we're blessing God over all our general food that we eat, not just bread. And at the end we say, Baruch Chayalamim, God gives life to all the worlds, to everything that has a soul. So it's basically a very general blessing. We're blessing God, thanking God for giving life to everything that has a soul, for giving life to all the worlds. And we're part of that. But it's not only us. So there's two ways to understand. I think that's hinted to perhaps in the way Rabbi Sachs translated this. Blessed, who creates the many forms of life and their needs, not just humans, all forms of life and their needs. For all you have created to sustain the life of all that lives. Could be all lives. The giver of life to the worlds, to all the worlds. So these are two ways to understand it. What humans are lacking, the basics and the extras, or that God gives life to all the creatures and all those who have souls, and he continues to sustain them.